course, you all saw that because you were all paying real close attention. And it is one of those things which is easy to overlook. But because we're actually dealing with compositions which are balanced and geometric, even if you slightly change some of the location, it will still basically work, which is worth realizing. But because when I play the video, you can't hear me. So I'm going to restart, continue with the video, but hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. Then it's going to shade it in very lightly. Why am I doing that? Because you've got a socket, an eye socket, which recedes. So it's going to be back. It's not just eyes stuck on the surface. They're actually set into sockets. So just putting a little shadow in like that, even at this stage, helps to give the form of the face. It's going to look less amateurish and look a little bit more that we know what we're doing. Well, there we are, everybody. That is today's demonstration, just to get you up and started in terms of sketching. All right, notice how I've stopped today's session with a very, very, very rough, minimal sketch. Tomorrow I'm going to be taking that sketch to its completion. Okay, and I deliberately stopped here because so often people just want to get to the end of the sketch and they just want those lines so I can get on with painting. One of the reasons why so many icons by amateurs look horrendous once you know what you're looking for is precisely because people don't understand how to construct a face and then to, as it were, minimize it, to aestheticize it. So you really need to go through the drawing process to really produce a good finished result. It's like anything. If you build good foundations, what you build will be much more reliable. Whereas if you cut corners, then it's going to be less stable later on. And one of the things that does happen is that, you know, you get people who've drawn a face, but you might have nice eyes and stuff, but they're in the wrong place, or they're not proportionate to each other, or they don't relate to the other features of the face. When you're drawing and painting on your own, you need to be able to correct those mistakes. So therefore you need to understand how you've constructed it. And if you just go for lines like a cartoon, it's going to be much harder to do that. And also with the next phase, which is the transfer of the image to the board, you will repeat the drawing process, but just with a brush. So this is the time to get your shadows in the right place, because you can easily rub them out with a rubber. When you're doing it with a brush, it's much more destructive and you've got much less room for maneuver, because there's so many times you can take that paint off before it starts to affect the gesso. And even one or two times, and that wonderful pristine surface begins to be damaged. So if you want to really sort of work well, put all your effort into really sketching with form rather than just line the face. So tomorrow we'll be looking at taking that to its completion, and we'll skip a little bit, which is the actual sort of transferring it onto the board and doing the initial sketch. I'll then move to when you actually start to actually sketch it in using the Verdaccio. So this is very much focused on getting a proper modeled face from the outset. So notice how I was sketching in the recesses of the eyes, just very lightly. You could do it with the sides of the nose as well, the sides of the cheek, just using shadows before actually refining it with a line. We all have different ways of drawing. It's what your hand feels comfortable with, but don't reduce it down to just sort of, round eyes and lines and so. No, we want to really model a face, even if it's